Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Peter Weiler. I will be your host for the DVMUG Zoom meeting today, January 21st, 2025. Um, Hopefully, all will go well. We've had some technical issues, but we hope we have it working at this point. So, we're starting with some news. This is a display of all of the news articles for today. We'll see to it that you can get a copy of it. I don't think it's available at the moment, but we'll work on that a little later. So the first piece of news is from PayPal. As many of you know, PayPal has a browser extension called Honey, which is supposed to help people uh, search for special discounts on purchases and so forth online. Um, and now we are hearing that there's a possibility that Honey is actually stealing money from those it's supposed to be getting paid for the content that they provide. And perhaps they're not actually even giving you the best deals as they claim. Um, on the other hand, PayPal says, no, we're doing everything appropriately. So I do have a video on this, um, but for right now, let's take a look at this little bit of information. You can get the article at the tiny URL address at the bottom of the screen, and it will have the entire article. Uh, as I said before, PayPal claims that they're following industry rules and practices, and they mentioned last click attribution. That is the party that's supposed to get paid for content. Lawsuits are in action, so we shall see what comes of this. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, moving on. Uh, an article this past week, or maybe a little over a week, of the Apple Watch crash detection saving the life of a 55-year-old man who lost consciousness while he was driving. His car ended up passing right through his neighbor's garage and into the neighbor's swimming pool upside down. And if the watch was, what was happening is he was hearing emergency services when he woke up in the car underwater, and the services told him that they were coming and to stay calm. And Mr. Hill, Brent Hill, credits the watch with saving his life. Any comments? Okay. I assume some of you are going to be interested in the Super Bowl. Um, it is free in 4K on Apple devices, any of your Apple devices. I imagine 4K on your iPhone will be very sharp. It won't make much difference that it's 4K. But if you have Apple TV and so forth, you might be able to stream some really nice quality content of the football game. Um, This is through an arrangement between Fox Sports and Tubi, the streaming app. You would need Tubi, I think, to install it on your device if you don't already have it in order to get the big Super Bowl and halftime show and so forth. Also, Tubi viewers can watch Super Bowl related stuff that's going to be broadcast from January 28th right up until the Super Bowl on February 4th or whenever it is. Anybody know when it is?
I think it's on the ninth.
On the 9th? Okay, right. Okay, moving on then. Apple tweaks artificial intelligence notification summaries in iOS 18.3. I think it's in beta right now, actually, because I have 18.2 on my phone. But evidently, there's been quite an outcry. What's been happening is these notifications are coming by means of artificial intelligence, and sometimes with their summaries of the news, they get things wrong and maybe send out something alarming or something that should be alarming that just isn't right. And so Apple's planning on scaling back these notification summaries, at least for the time being. Any comments? Okay. Finally, we have an article on the Apple Watch in 2025 and what to expect. Um, Cult of the Mac has quite an article about this, and I was making notes on all of what is expected in the coming year with the Apple Watch, and it fills up single space an entire sheet. So I'm not even going to try to talk about what's ahead, but any of you who might be interested in picking up an Apple Watch in the coming year, take a look at the article at the URL down at the bottom of the screen. Any questions, comments? Okay. I have a little miscellany piece, pretty short one. I think Lee Wagner was the one who came up with the idea of having some miscellany if we have something to share. Um, this past week, every other day, I received a scam. And so I thought I'd just sort of share those scams with you just quickly. We're going to have a video from Gary that will talk about how to spot phishing schemes. And most of these scams are this sort of thing. So this was the first one I received. It was on January 13th. An iMessage supposedly from this phone number. And please pay the fee of Fast Track Lane on January 13th. Well, that's actually the day I received it. In order to avoid excessive late fees and potential legal action, blah, blah, blah. And they give a address in which to send the money. Uh, well, I didn't happen to be on any fast track lanes on the 13th. But this is the kind of scam you might be getting, so be aware. Oh, wrong button.
I'd like to
Did you
add,
notice?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did
yes,
you
I'd like to
notice
add,
the area code?
there you go. Explain the area code.
It's the Philippines, the country code,
Plus 63
Philippines.
is the Philippines, right? Of course, we'd have our fast track lanes monitored in the Philippines. Not, not very likely.
Did
So,
you also notice that they want you to reply with the Y and exit and come back so they can make the link active as it is? The link is not active.
hmm.
That's the scam they're using now. Reply to the message, yes, and then they resend you the link whether it's clickable. Right now, in this message, it's not active, not clickable. That's Apple stopping that from being an active link
Uh,
until you interact with it.
So
yeah.
you tried it?
Well, I
Yeah, I
haven't
don't.
tried it. I avoid these things like the plague, but
Well,
John, thank you for explaining that.
well,
Yeah,
that's
they're not.
because Apple has added an anti-phishing feature where when you get a link
Right.
um, from an unknown phone number,
Sender.
the links in it aren't active, so they're not clickable. until you respond to the email, and then they think they are known to you. So so that's what they're wanting you to do. They're wanting you to respond by clicking Y and sending it, and then coming back to the message to evade Apple's anti-phishing feature.
So what do you do with this message? Do you just delete it? Do you
Yes.
hit stop or attack
Oh,
stop? Or
okay.
what do you do?
This is exactly what you don't do. You don't do anything. You don't say why. You don't say stop. You don't respond. If you
You go back to your
respond,
messages and hit delete.
just delete it. Don't engage with the
Okay.
message. Delete.
Right. No.
And if they have a button that says delete, don't use it.
Right.
It-
I like to add to it that I read stories regarding this. Don't even run your finger across it, because it indicated that some of these things, some of the lines could be made sensitive. So all you got to do is run your finger over the top of it and you activate those links. So the best thing is to just delete it. Like John said, just delete it and don't even give it a second thought.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sometimes when you delete it, it will give you two choices: delete or delete and report. You can do report it to Apple as spam
Right.
if it gives you that option.
And if it looks very compelling and you're just not sure, it's possible
Delete it
to take the entity and contact them through a valid address that you get through a different source, rather than one that's been changed slightly to make you think it's legit. But let me move on to the next one. So this came 2 days later, and it was a final warning from McAfee, and they're not going to be responsible for what happens to, pending disaster on my computer if I don't renew my subscription. Well, I don't even subscribe to McAfee. So obviously this is a scam, but they send out maybe 100,000, 1 million of these things just in a big burst of they get mailing lists and send it to everybody, and then there'll be some people who do use McAfee, and they might be taken in.
And also look at the address it came from. Some long string of numbers at somethingbasketball.com.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not even like attempting to come up
Right.
with a fake
Yeah. So
from address.
this was not done in a very sophisticated way, and that's a very good tell, that it's a phony. Um, basketball.com, really. I received one more email of this sort, and this one supposedly came from Apple. Although, if we look at the from line, it's repeatedly at nungusscintillating.com. Who would have a domain name like, wow. At any rate, my iCloud, the payment has expired, and boy, I better update my payment information. No, you don't want to update your payment information to somebody who's likely a scammer.
Yeah, I've received that same iCloud thing from some other address, but I also had notice on that you're using Yahoo, which I don't know if it's improved in recent times, but it was legendary for being just soaked in spam and malware.
Mm. Right. I can't answer that, Kenji, but it's worth checking out to see if Yahoo has gotten their security better, you know, over the months and years.
Another thing to be watchful of is if you're a person that has more than one email address and you receive that on an email other than the one that you use for your Apple ID, well, that makes it pretty obvious it's not legit.
Yes. Very good.
You know, I'd like to add to that. I was informed by my sister-in-law that everybody should actually switch to Proton Mail because it's encrypted and it's the best thing out there. So just want to indicate that there are instead of and they have pay subscriptions to it also. But that's
Yeah.
what she uses and she says you'll never switch to anything. So
Proton
just
is good, and it's maybe the best. There are other methods that you can use. If you have your own domain, you can use your own domain.
yeah.
If you have Apple equipment, you can always use your Mac address that's free, and their spam filtering is very good.
I agree. Her and I had words and we parted as friends, so that's a good thing.
Right. Is
You're
is
announcing
she an
Proton.
authority?
So you're announcing the Proton is the best as a conciliatory gesture to your sister? Is that trying to mend fences?
Yes. I'm kind of leaning in that direction. I don't want to start something I can't finish, in other words. So
Do we need to sign anything to verify that you promoted it on the meeting?
no.
Verify it for her?
This is just my experience I went through. And
Okay.
no advertising intended.
Yeah. It's not worth family relationships. Anyhow, let's move on to the videos for this week. So again, here is a spreadsheet, well, not a spreadsheet really, but a sheet that has the URLs for these videos. I will see to it that they are in the DVMUG folder by the end of this meeting, both the videos and the news articles for any people interested in
The
getting
videos
them.
are in the folder. I will post the link for that in the chat. The news is not.
Okay, I'll send you the news, Kenji. Anyway, our first video is with Gary.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's talk about the most common type of online scam, the phishing attack, how to protect yourself, and how AI is going to make it worse. At this point, I think just about everybody has seen a phishing attack, and I hope you haven't fallen victim. A phishing attack is when you get either an email or a text message or a message in some other system claiming to be from some company or service, but it's really not. The message is fake. It's not from that company. It's sent by a scammer, usually using a system to send out thousands of them at a time. Most of the time, it contains an urgent message, like you owe somebody money or something is wrong with one of your accounts and you need to fix it immediately. And usually they look pretty legitimate. The idea is to scare you into thinking it's real and wanting to take action right away. What these messages are doing is trying to get you to click on a link or call a phone number in the message. Of course, you're not contacting the real company, you're contacting the scammer. Often you're going to a fake website that looks just like the actual website, and it's asking you to log in, entering your ID and password. But what you're actually doing is giving your ID and password to a scammer so that they can then use it to log into the real website and pretend that they're you. Most of the time, it's about links. Sometimes it's about calling a phone number. Other times, they just want to get you to reply to the message so they can start a conversation and extract information from you. If you fall for it, then the scammer has your ID and password and can now get into that account. It could be a social media account, so now they can pose as you, or it could be a financial institution, in which case they can use the ID and password to steal your money. Now, I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. But first, I want to talk about some bad advice that's out there. There are a ton of articles and other videos that will tell you how to spot phishing attacks. But a lot of the advice they give is wrong because it won't prove whether or not the message is, in fact, a phishing attack. For instance, a lot of times they'll tell you to look at the from email address. And indeed, in many cases, the from address doesn't make sense. It's coming from a company, say Apple, but yet the from address isn't from Apple. However, it's easy to fake the from address in an email. So it may appear to be legitimate, but it's not. So that's not a good way to tell whether or not it's real. Also, a lot of places, and I'm sure before long there'll be a comment to this video that says that you should look for bad grammar. But that is only true some of the time. A lot of the time, the grammar is perfect, and often it's actually taken from real email messages from the real company. They're just copying and pasting. So looking for bad grammar is not going to be a good way to tell whether it's real or not. And it's the same when you look at the design of the message. They could use the same graphics, the same logos, the same colors as the real company. And they can even include the same contact information. As a matter of fact, a common technique is to include lots of information in there. A phone number to call, an address, various different links to parts of the website, all which are actually the real links. So as you check through it, the email seems legit, but there's one link in there, the one that they're hoping you click on, which is the fake one. And speaking of links, that's another place where people would tell you to check carefully, to look at the link before you click on it. But it can be so hard to tell if a link is real or not. Sometimes they can look legitimate with one letter being out of place that's really hard to spot, or using the real name of the company in there, but that's not actually the address for their website. Sometimes they use redirects. So it looks like the link is to a real website that you know, but it's actually going to redirect to another bad website. By the way, if you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. So here's an example of a phishing attempt that looks like it comes from Apple. As you can see, it's an urgent message trying to get you to panic just a little bit so that you'll not see that's a phishing attempt. Here, if you look in the from field, you'll see that it's not from Apple at all. But you can't trust that. Sometimes it will actually look like it is from Apple. So we're lucky here in that we could see that this is bad, but it's not always going to be that easy. The rest of the email looks pretty legitimate, choosing Apple's design. It looks like a message from Apple. And if you actually move your pointer over the big blue button there, you'll see that it doesn't seem to go to a bad website, but it's actually redirecting using Yahoo and Google. And you have no idea where this link is actually going. But it's not really obvious just from looking at the link that this may be bad. Here's another email message. This one seems to come from Amazon. And you can see here the from is really mysterious. It's hard to tell whether this is real or not, although a real email from Amazon would come from Amazon. If you look at the message, you could see it using Amazon's colors, it's using their logo and all of that. And if you look at the button here, you move over it, you could see that it's actually going to a Google Doc, which why would Amazon be sending you there? So it's pretty easy to spot that this one isn't real, even though at the bottom, they've got some real information here. Here's a really common one. This looks like it's coming from PayPal. Notice it does actually seem to come from PayPal. So you really can't tell from the from that it's a bad message, although there are other indicators up here. Notice how it's trying to create a sense of urgency. And a lot of the information here, like for instance, the logos, a lot of the information here at the bottom, including all of these links and such, are legitimate. So you may actually think this is really coming from PayPal if you look at all this information. But the phone number that they keep repeating over and over again, I've changed it in the message here. I'm sure when you do call it, it sounds like you're actually talking to somebody at PayPal. But eventually, they'll try to get information from you to either get into your PayPal account, your bank account, or somewhere else. And here's another very common one. This often comes as a text message instead of an email. And you get this message. It says it's from the United States Postal Service or maybe UPS or some other delivery service telling you that there's some sort of problem with a package you're supposed to get. But if you look here, you can see that the link isn't really USPS. It's USPS.com dash and then all these other letters there, .VIP. Obviously, U.S. Postal Service is not going to use a real link like that. But sometimes it may not be obvious from that URL. A quick glance, it looks like it's coming from USPS.com. So if you've never seen one of these before, you may easily be fooled. Plus, You could simply reply to this message, and then you'll be talking to a scammer who could be trying to get information from you. So from those examples, you can see you can't always rely on the from email address to let you know that it's a phishing attack. Often there's not bad grammar. Very often they use real links and real information and logos and colors and all of that in there, even though there's one bad link hidden in there somewhere. And even if you check the links, sometimes it can be really hard to tell, especially if they're redirecting through other services. So how do you really protect yourself against phishing attacks? Well, the most important thing is, of course, not to click on the links in those email messages. When you get a message like this, just make it your practice to never click on a link there. If it's telling you there's a problem at Amazon, then go to Amazon.com and log in there. If it's telling you there's a problem at PayPal, then go to PayPal.com and log in there. Don't click on the link there. Rely on the bookmarks that you have in your browser or by typing the URL that you know, not anything you see in the email. And the same thing for phone numbers. If it's a phone number in a message, don't call it. Instead, use the number on your credit card or the number on a bank statement and call the company directly. Don't use the phone number that's in the message. Of course, never reply to the email or message at all. If you really do want to check it out, call the phone number on an official document that you received separate from this phishing attack, or message the company through their official website. And another way to protect yourself is to just use a password manager. Password managers have an ID and password saved in there, but they're associated with a website. So if you happen to be caught off guard and you click on a link in a phishing message and you go to a website that's not the real website, then your password manager is not going to offer up the ID and password for that site because the domain name for that site doesn't match the domain name for that ID and password. And hopefully the fact that your password manager doesn't recognize the site is enough for you to realize now that you almost fell victim to a phishing attack. Now let's talk about AI. Most phishing attacks don't use AI yet, but it's predicted that AI is going to make things a lot worse. One of the things AI can do is it can look at vast amounts of information, look at everything online, and match details about a person before sending out something like a phishing attack. So it can look for personal details about you, like what services you use, places you've posted, things you've posted about, and put personal details in the fake email messages that you get. And these personal details may be enough to throw you off guard and think it's legit. Also, AI is great at fixing your grammar. It's hopefully one of the things that you're using AI for right now, but it can also help scammers there. They can use it to fix the bad grammar in the messages they send out as well. It can also be used to make the psychology of the messages better. Just like you might be able to use AI to rewrite a cover letter to go with your resume, a scammer might be able to use it to rewrite their scam messages to make them more effective. And another thing AI can do is look through all the vast amounts of information out there and match you up with people that you may know. And if it does that, it potentially could start sending you messages that don't appear to come from companies or services you use, but from people that you know, trying to get you to click on a link that appears to come from a friend or family member. So be on guard for that. I want to finish up here by talking about what to do if you've fallen victim to a phishing attack. If in a vulnerable moment you click on a link in an email and only after, say, giving your ID or password or some other piece of personal information, you realize that this was a phishing attack and not a legitimate message. So what should you do then? Well, of course, for whatever service was affected, you should immediately change your password. And when you do that, also go into your account settings and check to see if anything else has been changed there. If the scammer got into your account before you got to change your password, they may have changed something else. Like, for instance, they may have put another email address or another phone number as a backup contact for that account so that later on they can claim that they couldn't get into the account and to please send a code or link to this other email address. So check all your account information, especially if the site has security questions. You know, it asks you what high school you went to or the name of your favorite pet, that kind of thing. They may have changed those or looked at your answer for those if that's possible. So they know that. So later on, they can try to get into your account. It's best to change those answers if you can. Of course, if this concerns any financial institution, you should contact the financial institution. Even if you got to change your password soon after the attack, you don't know if they got in there just before you did. So contact them, tell them that you may have been compromised, and they should have some next steps for you to do. And then also check your transactions, not just right now, but also check later in the day, tomorrow. Keep checking over the next weeks or months to make sure all the transactions are real. And if this isn't a bank or something, but maybe a social media site or something like that, then check your activity. Make sure nobody else is getting into your account and posting using your identity. And always remember, no matter how smart somebody is, and no matter how cautious they are, it's always possible to be scammed. Matter of fact, thinking that you're invulnerable to being scammed is a surefire way to maybe let your guard down and be scammed at some point. The best way to protect yourself is to educate yourself about these kinds of scams, keep learning about them, and help protect your friends by telling them about these kinds of scams as well. Stay safe, and thanks for watching. If you like this video, click the thumbs up button.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. That was a very comprehensive look at phishing. Gary is very thorough, and if you follow his advice, I think you will be quite safe. What I have following now are 4 short messages, so we can get to them. I also want to let you know that I have put the news and video links onto the DVMUG website, so you can reach them there. Kenji, I couldn't send them to you because I don't have your email address. I'm sorry.
Peter, you said you put it on the DVMUG website or on the bulletin board?
Um, it is the DVMUG folder. Where is that?
That's on the BBS.
That's on the BBS?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, well let's continue
Can
then.
I ask one question?
Yes.
Okay. He several times referred to looking for or how they might use a redirect address. How can you tell that there's a redirected address involved? Anybody know that a good way to do that?
Yeah. And I myself cannot answer.
You really don't need to do any of this analysis. If it comes in and you suspect in any way, just go, if it's a PayPal message, go to paypal.com. An Apple one, go to the Apple website, see what's going on there. Just go to the source. Call the number on your bank card. Do not Google the number to call, because numbers on Google sometimes are fake, and that's how people get into trouble.
Now you can also, if it's just a web, one of those computer numbers, I forgot what you call them, you can go to Whois and find out who owns that code. And that may help you.
Okay, well let's go ahead.
Well, wait, if something is redirected, can't you put your cursor at the end of what it looks like on the email and see what it really is underneath? Or not?
What do you mean?
He covered that. He covered that and said that they can even spoof the addresses, that it's a good rule of thumb to try that, but you're still never sure.
Oh, so, okay.
Am I missing something here? Is there a reason to figure out if that's the right number, or where, if it belongs to the Philippines or someplace?
No, you never click on the link. Never click on the link, even if it's real. If it's real, go to Wells Fargo, go through their website. Even if it's real, it'll be there.
I was just going to say that, John. I'm in John's school on this. Just don't.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, though, it's a lot easier for people to just click on something than to get out, go type in the URL, and actually sift through the website. I had to
That-
go through this yesterday with Xfinity, and I couldn't figure out how to print my bill. And finally, I ended up doing what John's saying: go to the source. Went to the source. I can't even get into Xfinity over there, so I figured, okay, the site's broken. Leave it that way. So I called them, and they said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, the site's broken right now. Not the whole site, but just the bill pay site."
Your part.
But what we are doing these meetings for is to help people understand you don't click, just don't do it.
Bingo.
Don't engage in anything that you don't understand. An email, a pop-up on your screen, a text message. If you don't know that it's real, that you're expecting it to come, don't engage in any way. Don't call, don't click, don't reply, don't do anything.
Don't be in a
The
hurry.
consequences of clicking can be catastrophic.
Yeah, just don't.
Just delete it, or do you put it in spam icon?
Delete it. Delete it.
Delete it. The less you engage, the less you have to do it later.
So it wouldn't do any good to send it to spam or junk or
Yeah, don't help.
report it to anybody.
Well, sometimes when you go to delete it on iOS, Apple gives you the choice of, gives you a second choice where it says report and delete. But more often than not, that's not even an option they offer on obvious spam, scam spam. So just delete it.
That's what I normally do.
I use Gmail. It has some issues with interacting with with an email client, but its spam filtering is excellent. And I see almost none of this stuff in my email. For a while, they figured out how to get past the Gmail filters by saying something like responding to, they would put in certain words that would make it seem like it was a response to an ongoing thing that would get passed, but that doesn't seem to happen anymore. And like people were saying, you get these things from Fast Track. If you have a Fast Track account, go to Fast Track. Go to Fast Track. Don't click anything in the message. If it's or wherever it's claiming to be from, go there. Don't click anything in the message. That's the
Do you
bottom
like
line.
Proton Mail? Kenji, do you like Proton?
I don't use Proton Mail. I just looked at it after Bruce and somebody else mentioned it. And I see it's out of Switzerland, so they say it's end-to-end encrypted so that they don't process it for advertising purposes like Google does, and it's not available to US agencies, they claim. But I see that the free version is limited to 1 gigabyte capacity. Gmail gives you 15. Their $15 gigabyte plan is $4 a month, and they have a huge plan that's $10 a month. So I'm going to consider it.
But do they host your domain name, or they give you a Proton
I
Mail?
have no idea. I just posted a link in the chat in case anybody wants to check them out. Like I say, I don't. All I know about them is what I just heard here and from what I just saw glancing at their website.
I'd like to maybe divert and he started talking about AI, and this is going to be better and that's going to be better, and it's going to be harder to tell. But I had a couple and I didn't fall for it, and I figured out it was wrong and stuff, but it had to do with USPS. It had to do with a package. It had to do with a package, and I was just wondering, is it serendipity? Is it some way predicted? Or did they get some kind of information from me or my persona out there knowing that I did receive some packages from a certain place.
I think it's probably just random. They just
Okay.
saturate the world with those, and would be
Okay.
my guess. Because I get those USPS ones. I've probably gotten 10 of them in the last month or two, and they all are basically the same one. You have a parcel that did not clear
Right.
due to a inaccurate zip code, blah blah blah.
Right.
And the language of it was just obviously nothing about it. It was an easy one to detect. It was a stupid one, and they send it out over and over again.
Yeah,
And
I
they come
just
from the
And they
Philippines.
all come from the Philippines.
They all come from the Philippines, exactly.
So the fast track one that started all this, I read, I think it was on Krebs on cybercrime site that there's a package out now from a relatively sophisticated Chinese purveyor of such things that there's sell widespread in China to help you make it sort of site specific. In other words, it will come from California if you're sending to people in California, or you can send it to people in other states where fast track is used. So that package apparently just went out very recently. So that's why you're going to see a lot more, and they're going to be a much more sophisticated looking thing because people are using a fairly well crafted package to pull this scam.
I'm kind of interject. I did have a legitimate fast track. I sold my car last April and got a new car, and I didn't call fast track to change my registration. I don't know why. I thought it was automatic. And somebody else, I guess the dealership resold my original car, and then somebody used it. So I did call them directly. I have, their number directly. I didn't respond to the email. I did call them directly and clarified it.
That's the way to do it.
And they didn't charge me, of course.
That's correct. That's what you should do, and it worked.
And what you get from those are totally different. You'll get a bill from the license plate reader. If somebody doesn't have a transponder, they send a bill.
They send one in the paper in the snail mail.
Yeah, it said email you owe blah blah blah.
If anybody's paying attention, it's 3:45 and we've had one video.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. The following videos are shorter. Why don't we go ahead and focus on them, and there will be questions and answers, that time afterward. Okay. The next video that I have relates to that honey scam, and I was looking into it. They have hours of material online about it. But this video, fortunately, is only 3 minutes, and it kind of explains what's going on. We'll leave it at that. And let's get started.
So you might have seen this video on the internet recently, exposing the honey influencer scam. It's gotten 10 million views in just 5 days, and it's 23 minutes long. So I know a lot of you looked at that and you were like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not watching all that. Well, good thing there's weird people on the internet like me who pretty much spend all their time thinking about money and YouTube videos. So yeah, I've watched this video 2 times in full, and I'm about to explain to you everything you need to know about how this honey scam actually worked and the genius behind this fraud. So here we go. Basically, Honey is a browser extension that's supposed to find you the absolute best coupon codes automatically. So you install the extension, and then from now on, whenever you go to buy something, it automatically tells you if there's a better coupon code you can apply to save more money. And Honey got some of the biggest influencers in the world to market this product, like Marquez Brownlee, Mr. Beast, you name it. But what's ironic here is the very people that they got to promote the product were actually hurt most by the scam that Honey pulled off. The reason for that is because a lot of these influencers make their money through affiliate marketing. This basically means that if you buy a product through one of their links in the description, they get a commission since they referred you to the sale. But here's the thing, most affiliate links work through something called last click attribution. This means that you don't have to be any of the other links that the person clicked on, except for the very last link before the person buys. So if someone clicks my link but doesn't actually buy the product, and then later goes to someone else's affiliate link and then buys the product, the second person or the last person before the purchase gets given 100% of the affiliate commission. And this is exactly what Honey did. Right before checkout, it would search for the absolute best coupon codes for you to save money. And while it did this, it would replace whoever the other person's affiliate link is with their own affiliate link. So basically taking all the work that the creator did to actually advertise, promote the product, and ultimately refer the person to it, and taking 100% of the commission. And the worst part is they still took this commission even when they didn't find a coupon code. So if it was a product that literally they didn't find any discounts for, they still would replace it with their affiliate link and make commission for the referral. Even though they didn't actually refer the person, they were just the last person to get the link there before checkout. But as if this wasn't scummy enough, Honey also completely lied about trying to find the absolute best discount codes so that you can save more money. In fact, they were actually caught working with businesses to purposely limit the amount of coupon codes that Honey shows so that businesses can prevent people from coupon hunting on the internet and fool them into believing they've gotten the best discount, even when a better discount actually does exist on the internet. And Honey is purposely withholding that and making the customer think that they've already got the best one, so they don't do more research and actually figure out what the best one is. This is how Honey was able to simultaneously have a good value propositions to customers and businesses. But they're now getting exposed for this, and thank God. I gotta say, this was an absolutely brilliant scheme, and they pretty much had pulled this off on people for like 5 years and no one even noticed. So yeah, that's how the Honey fraud worked. Thanks so much for watching. And if you want to join me on my mission to make fake gurus homeless, subscribe now.
So long story short, if you installed the Honey extension, uninstall it, period. Because it's an extension it's a browser extension.
Right. And part of the PayPal organization. And we'll have a couple videos that are relevant to PayPal because DVMUG is going to be making a request in terms of your annual dues to DVMUG and how you pay them. But let's move on to the next video. This one is from Apple support. It's on how to take a hearing test and how to turn on the hearing aid feature. I think given our demographic, this could be useful information to people. It's a bit under 6 minutes, so let's just do it.
Starting in iOS 18.1, you can take a hearing test and set up hearing assistance features with your AirPods Pro 2 and iPhone. We'll show you how. Before you start, make sure your iPhone is updated to the latest version of iOS and your AirPods Pro 2 are on the latest firmware. You'll also need to be wearing AirPods Pro 2 in order to take a hearing test. For the most accurate results, you will need to take your test in a quiet environment. The hearing test and hearing aid features are intended for people 18 and older. The hearing aid feature is for people with perceived mild to moderate hearing loss. We'll teach you how to take a hearing test and then how to turn on the hearing aid feature if your device recommends it. First, let's learn how to take a hearing test. We're going to take one in Settings, but it's also available in the Health app. In Settings, tap your AirPods and tap Take a Hearing Test. You might need to scroll down first. The test should take about 5 minutes, and you can cancel it at any time. Results aren't saved until you complete the test, so if you cancel it before it's done, you'll have to start over. Tap Get Started and follow the prompts, which include answering a few questions, confirming you're in a quiet location, and checking the fit of your AirPods. If your environment or AirPods fit changes during the test, you might get a notification asking you to make adjustments. You'll also get to hear a sample of the tone that plays during the test. Follow the remaining prompts and tap Start Test when you're ready. The test will play unique tones at different volumes and frequencies, which at times you might not hear. This is expected. Each tone will pulse 3 times. Tap the screen when you hear a tone and wait until you hear another. The test will begin with your left ear and then proceed to the right. After the hearing test is complete, you'll get a check mark and a message that your results have been saved. Tap Show Results, and you can tap Show Details to review your results and any hearing assistance recommendations. Tap Done when you're finished. Your hearing data will be saved in the Health app. From the Browse tab of Health, tap Hearing, and your most recent test results will appear near the top. Tap Hearing Test Results to review your hearing assistance recommendations and all your results, which include a graph that shows the decibel loss for each ear, as well as averages if you've taken multiple tests. You can tap Show More Data for additional information. You can also tap Add Test in the upper right corner of your screen if you'd like to upload data from another hearing test or audiogram, like one taken at a doctor's office. If you'd like to print or save your results, scroll down, tap All Hearing Test Results, and then tap Export PDF. Now, let's learn how to set up hearing assistance and turn on the hearing aid feature. While wearing your AirPods, tap Hearing Assistance in your AirPods settings. You can start a new hearing test from here or select results from a test you've already taken. We'll tap Use a Prior Test Result. Answer the questions on the Provide Some Details screen. Scroll down and tap Next. Now, select a compatible hearing test result. We'll choose the test we took earlier. Then, tap Next, and the results and recommendations from your selected test will appear. If your test indicates mild to moderate hearing loss, tap Set Up Hearing Aid and follow the prompts. When hearing aid is ready, tap Turn on Hearing Aid and tap Done. Once the hearing aid feature is on, it's saved to your AirPods Pro 2, so make sure that you don't share your AirPods with anyone. And keep in mind that it might take some time to get used to the adjustments based on your personalized hearing profile. You can make additional changes in Control Center at any time. Now you can tap Hearing Assistance in your AirPod settings again and customize your hearing assistance settings. If you tap Adjustments, you'll find options and sliders to help you further adjust the hearing aid feature. And Media Assist is on by default, which automatically improves the clarity of music, phone calls, and FaceTime calls. And that's how to take a hearing test and use hearing assistance on your iPhone. To learn more about the health features on your iPhone, subscribe to the Apple Support YouTube channel, or click another video to keep watching. These features aren't available in all countries or regions. Some sequences in this video were shortened.
I personally find that really encouraging to see the direction this technology is moving to. I had a career in education of the deaf as a teacher, and so I know a lot about hearing amplification and hearing loss. Are there any comments or questions?
I'd like to add, Peter, you have to understand that they're only good for mild to modern hearing loss. Take me, for example, I have modern in one ear and severe in the other. And what you get when you apply the test is they know exactly and they tell you you need professional help regarding this. So if you're mild to modern, you're fine. But still, it helps. I mean, with phone calls and stuff, it helps.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce, for sharing your experience. And indeed, yeah, severe hearing loss, this sort of thing, that's not what AirPods can do. Jan.
I'm not understanding does the is the microphone the iPhone or the phone or something? Um, or did the earpods work without the iPhone? Or
Once you set them up, they only works with the AirPod Pro 2, which are noise canceling, means they're sealed and they have microphones to cancel the noise, and they use those microphones to amplify the sound into the speakers, and they're sealed off. So basically they worked with they previously before they implemented the software, they had transparency mode, which they could use the microphones and you would hear stuff outside along with whatever you were hearing from your phone or whatever. All they've done is applied a hearing curve from the test onto those.
but the sound, somebody's talking to you, does it come to you through the phone or through their
No,
mouth?
have nothing. Once they're set up, you don't have to even have a phone.
Oh, that's
You
what
have
I
to
was
use a
wondering.
phone to do the test and set them up. But once you
Okay,
don't have to have the phone, there's no longer has anything to do with the phone.
thank
One
you.
of the options in this setup is you're going to choose which, there's only one microphone. You're going to choose which ear, left or right, to activate the microphone on. You can't activate both of them, and you can select automatic.
Jan, what it does, if you look at the curve of your hearing loss, what it does is invert that curve and add it to the ear pods to compensate for it so that the net result is a flat line. Or supposed to be a flat line.
Ideally. Do I understand rightly that it will only amplify for one ear if you have no, that didn't make sense, right?
No, it works for me for both.
Uh-huh.
No, it amplifies both, but only one, as far as I know, there in my settings, you can either select it auto, which is probably both, maybe both, or left or right. So
That
in my case, I
that
selected my right ear, which is my better ear than the left.
Bruce, that setting is for the microphone that you speak into, not for the hearing.
No, it says left or right in the settings. Ear, meaning ear.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's
it wouldn't make
which microphone to use when you're speaking using the into the ear pods.
yeah, it wouldn't make sense
Correct.
to you definitely need separate curves for each ear because the hearing of both ears is going to be different from one another, and each one needs a customized curve. So you definitely wouldn't want to, yeah. So
Well, the hearing test tests each ear separately.
Right.
Right. Yeah, if you
Separate
get
curve
an
for each ear.
audiological exam, usually they'll have a right side and a left side test and graph and so forth.
so do these AirPods have normally stereo microphones for picking up your voice and ambient sound? Do they generally pick up in stereo, or is it always one mic or the other?
It's called binaural. There's a mic in each ear. So it becomes what we now call stereo, but it's binaural.
Okay. So what is this right and left thing that Bruce was talking about?
I'm trying to find it.
There's confusion here. There are
Mhm.
there are multiple microphones in the AirPods. Some are used to adjust the sound coming to you. The other microphone is what I'm now talking into because my input is from the AirPods, and it's a microphone in the AirPods.
So you're wearing AirPods.
So am I. I'm wearing them too.
Well, it's hard to see when you have
And then there are other microphones in any headset, a noise reducing headset that That's how they get noise canceling, is they'll have microphones facing away from your mouth, and sound that reaches those mics as loud as the voice mic will be canceled because they'll assume that's ambient noise, so that it'll focus on the noise, the sound that's coming from the direction of your mouth.
Okay,
Oh.
well, let's move on. There are just a couple very short videos left, and they're both about Zelle. And I want to explain. Some of you maybe use the Zelle app. It's a means of moving money from one person to another, or one person to a business or a bank. Um, and the DVMUG Board of Directors met recently and discussed changing how we're asking people to pay their $40 annual payment to help out the group. In the past, it's been done through PayPal. And this is the same PayPal that has a Honey extension that we've been talking about. PayPal has worked fine, but with the caveat that they charge 3% for their service. So all of the money that comes from the membership to support DVMUG's operations loses 3% right off the top. Therefore, the idea is let's change this to using Zelle. Now, Zelle is a application that allows you to send money and receive money, and there is no charge in it. And for that reason, it would be beneficial to the club. I've found two very short movies, one on how to use Zelle. The second one is a review, pros and cons. And so let's start with the first one. And here we go.
Zelle is a service that lets you digitally transfer money free of charge. We're going to show you how to get started, send and receive money, and also how to request money. Many banks use Zelle within their banking apps. We're using Capital One, and here's how it works for us. If your bank is not a partner with Zelle, you can use Zelle's standalone app to send and receive money. Use the clickable sections below to skip to different parts of this tutorial. When you first open the app, you'll be asked to search for your bank. Once it's located, you'll need to give Zelle permission to link your bank account to the app. Now log into your bank account online. Make sure you read the fine print before clicking Agree. To send money on Zelle, both the sender and receiver must have Zelle accounts. Tap Send Money with Zelle on the main screen, and then Send Money from the pop-up. Scroll through your mobile contacts and find the person you want to send money to. Alternatively, you can search for them in the search bar. Click on their name. Click Yes to confirm you selected the right contact. Type the amount of money you wish to send. Tap Review when you're finished. If you wish, you can type a reason for sending the money to this particular person. Once you're ready to make the payment, slide to Send. Tap Yes to complete the process. To request an amount from someone, tap on Send Money with Zelle. Then select Request Money from the pop-up. Select them from your contacts and select an amount. Tap Review. You can add a note to add a transaction description. Now slide to Request. You'll be notified when the person pays you your requested amount.
So basically, it's pretty straightforward. There has been some criticism of Zelle, and I use it myself, both for Capital One and my Chase accounts. Both banks already have Zelle as one of their means of moving money, so it makes it very easy. One of the criticisms is that once you push that send button, it's done. And so, you can't, oops, I didn't really mean to send it to that entity or person. Well, yes, you're going to have to be careful using this. But let's go ahead and look at the last app, or I'm sorry, the last video, which takes a look at positives and negatives, at least to some degree.
So I've been using the Zelle app for a while now, and this video is my honest and unbiased review on the Zelle app. I'll cover all the main points, from key features to risks and considerations. So by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of the Zelle app. With Zelle, you can send or receive money almost instantly using just an email or phone number. It's integrated with over 1,000 US banks, making it easy to access through your banking app. No need to download a separate app. But if your bank doesn't support it, you can still use the standalone app, which is available for both Android and iOS. One of Zelle's biggest advantages is its speed. Once both parties are enrolled, transfers are completed within minutes. And since there are no transaction fees, it's a go-to for quick payments. However, it's limited to domestic transfers within the US, and you can't use a credit card to fund transactions, unlike other apps like Venmo or Cash App. But let's be real, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are some cons to consider. Security is another strong point, but since the transfers are so fast, there's no way to cancel a payment once it's sent. This makes it risky if you're paying someone you don't trust. Unfortunately, Zelle has also faced criticism for being susceptible to scams, and vetting customer support can be a challenge when things go wrong. Overall, if you're sending money to people you know and trust, Zelle is fast, efficient, and convenient. However, for international payments or buyer protection, you might want to look elsewhere. But as always, do consider speaking with an expert before making any decisions. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did,
Well, here's something for you. The Zelle app itself says this app will no longer work after March 31st of this year. You can only use Zelle through your financial institution.
Why don't we use Apple Pay?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Why don't we do Apple Pay?
Everybody has an Apple. Why not use Apple Pay?
Well, because DVMUG's not set up to use Apple Pay. We don't.
How
It's
about
very
Venmo?
easy. It's very easy to do, to set it up.
The
It's easy to
website's
set
gotta be
up to
changed.
pay, but is it easy to set up to receive?
Yes, go in your settings.
Whose settings?
The DVMUG. Don't you have a business email settings?
It's the website that you're paying through, and the website's got to be programmed to actually